Well, the University of Alabama in Huntsville has found 35 naturally occurring compounds identified by a computer that have potential power against COVID-19. Our Nixon Norman tells us more.
There's been a lot of talk in recent weeks about vaccines, but not so much about other treatments that might help fight COVID-19. A professor at the University of Alabama in Huntsville has been hard at work doing just that, with naturally occurring compounds that may be therapeutic against COVID-19.
This is not a competition against a vaccine. It comes in addition to. Vaccination works, but sometimes you still get the disease, like the flu, for instance.
Again, vaccines do work, but maybe not for everyone, every time. Having another form of treatment is very important, especially now.
Coming with a pharmaceutical is a very long and painstaking process that takes well over 10 years normally. Now, we don't have that luxury of that time, so we have to accelerate the process greatly. The way we have done that is to use very powerful computers, among the most powerful computers on Earth.
So how did these computers do this?
Screening virtually a lot of chemicals that are found in plants and sometimes animals or fungi, what we call natural products, because they are already existing in nature.
Because research was done through a computer instead of a lab, information was found in 2 months, much quicker than the 3 years it usually takes. But why use natural chemicals?
They have biological and chemical properties that make them more likely to be useful drugs than something that would come out of the lab entirely from scratch. So the reason we're going after natural products is that they are primed for success and they already exist out there.
So, what's the next step, you may ask? Well, the 35 compounds found to be capable of fighting COVID will be sent to the University of Tennessee's Health Science Center in Memphis.
They are about to actually confirm or prove us wrong, we don't know, that those chemicals will have an effect against the virus. They are actually scheduled to be screened next week, I'm told. And if they see that the viruses cannot infect the cells anymore, then it means the chemical is a success.
And after that?
Depending on how it looks in test tubes, or I should say petri dishes, they may also want to test those chemicals in mice, in animal models, that would also go the next step in the complexity of the experiment. It's a long way from being efficient in humans, but it's a necessary step.
Putting the Valley first, Nixon Norman, WZDX News.